Good evening, everyone. It is Joe here from Snake Draft FPL. As always, back with a Game Week 5 live stream. Just taking some questions, very chilled out. Let me know, someone in the stream chat, if everything seems to be working okay. I'm assuming it is. It looks like it's not too bad. So that's good news. The format today is for the Patreon members. I sent out a thing this afternoon basically saying that I'm going to do a live stream. If you have any questions, send them over to me. So to start with this evening, I'm going to go through the Patreon questions that were sent in. There was one from actual Patreon and then a load came through the Discord server. So I'm going to open that up, go through the questions. I will be looking at chat and taking little bits and bobs from chat, but the main big questions from chat I will do after I've got through all the Patreon questions. I don't think it will take that long, to be honest. So once I've done all the Patreon questions, I will then dive into the chat and take more questions directly from the chat. To be honest, there's a lot of crossover, so I suspect a lot of questions will be answered from the ones we get from Patreon anyway, so that will certainly be very useful to everyone watching. Some generic questions, some big picture questions, some team specific, but we'll talk through those kind of as we go, really. So on that note, let's get stuck straight into the questions. Let me just sort my stream out. Andrew Smith makes a great point there. Subbed and liked the stream. Thank you very much. Make sure to everyone that's watching, you hit that like button. Let's get those algorithms working in our favour. I will just move my screen over. So the first question comes from the actual Patreon, and that is from Joseph Cornally. Goalkeeper Ramsdale, defenders Cash, Gabriel, Shah, mids Diaby, Enzo, Pape, Sarr, Raheem Sterling, forwards Jesus, Gakpo, Jimenez, subs Burn, Gvardiol, Beto, Solanke. How would you line up this week with this team? Any waiver suggestions? 10-man league. Okay, so keeper I think he's only got one keeper, so that's fine. Defenders Cash, you know what, let me get the fixtures up before I forget them. There goes my dog. Okay. Defenders. So Cash at home to Palace. Gabriel away to Everton. Share at home to Brentford. That all makes sense. Burn at home to... do you know, I'd probably... I can see why he doesn't want to double up with Burn and Share. It's not the best fixture. Gvardiol I would play. Gvardiol's not got an injury, I don't think, as far as we're aware, does he? Let me just get that up just in case, but I don't think he does. I know that City have struggled with players coming back. No, yeah, I'd play Gvardiol. I think City are... I'd play Gvardiol over Cash, probably. I know it's West Ham away compared to Villa at home, but I think Palace at home. I think Palace probably score in that game. Villa's defence has not been like great, and Palace are a decent side. I think it's always risky benching City defenders. So to be honest, I'd probably start Gvardiol. How does he have 5 forwards? Is his Fantrax? I would assume this is DFF, like draft fantasy football. In that you can have flex positions. So that is probably why. So you can just only have one keeper and pick up more, forwards or mids or defenders. And then forwards, Jesus, Gakpo, Jimenez, Beto, Solanke. You need to send some trades out, boy. 5 forwards is hoarder levels. I would be looking to trade out like Gakpo for a mid, maybe. I don't like benching Solanke ever, really. I'd probably... Jimenez played in Mexico over the weekend. Flexing fan tracks, right, okay. Yeah, so I think... I'm not sure Jimenez is going to start because he's playing quite... He's like one of the last players to return. So I'd probably start Solanke over him. I don't think Chelsea's defence is particularly good. Bournemouth are a decent attack. I'd rather start him over Jimenez, I think, but I think the rest looks pretty good, to be honest. Right, let's move over to the Discord server. If you are a Patreon member and you're not in the Discord server, I'd strongly advise it, to be honest. It's a lot of fun. A lot of chat going on in there. You can get your team looked at by more than just me, which is very helpful because as much as I like to believe it, I don't know everything. People quite often post stuff in there that I've missed. You know, I'm not always 100% on it with team news and everything as much as I try. So this was from the Discord server. Starts with it's lit. Will Ferguson start? Who will replace Trent? And who will replace Anthony? 3 big questions, I think. A lot going on this week for United. I'll start with Ferguson. Well, he is back in training, so the news was from De Zerbi. Let me get up the actual quote. So, I don't have the quote. Do I have the quote? No, I don't have the quote. But basically, he trained today, trained yesterday, missed his international games. So there is a decent chance he plays, but I don't think he starts. So I think he probably comes off the bench. Now, if that means you're going to... I think he's probably worth benching this week because of that. You know, it's not a bad fixture, United, but it's not... You know, not United away. It's not a bad fixture, but it's not one that you think, even if he plays 20 minutes, I definitely want him. So I think I'm probably going to bench him after that news. Who will replace Trent? I genuinely have absolutely no idea. I would assume... So Konate is fit, once again. He's trained 2 days with the team, so you'd assume he would be... Well, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean he's fit, but it looks like he's going to be fit. I think it's probably going to be, with VVD out as well, I think it's probably going to be Robertson, Matip, Konate, Gomez. If Konate's isn't fit enough to play, I genuinely have no clue what they're going to do, to be honest. So, yeah, I think that's a really tough one. So, I think it'll be Gomez... as long as Konate's fit. But I think Gomez starts either way, basically. Who will replace Anthony for United? Big question. There's a lot of different things they could do. Garnacho could start on the left. Rashford goes to the right. Haaland up front. Rashford could start on the right. Rashford could start on the left. Garnacho could start on the right. But we've never, ever seen Garnacho play a minute on the right. So that is a little bit more unlikely, I'd say. They could also do Pellistri on the right, Rashford on the left. I don't think that's likely because I just don't think he's ready to start. Then they could do Bruno on the right and Mount starts in midfield, which I think is probably the most likely. Bruno right wing, and then even if Mount's not fit to start, they could play Eriksen and Casemiro and find someone else for the midfield. one of the others. I think Mount may well be may well be fit though. That's the kind of latest talk, is that he could well be fit. I'm seeing Mount isn't ready in the chat, but is that like 100%? Is that recent? The last I saw was that he's back in training and is like a maybe. But it might be that I've not seen that today, if he's not ready. Okay, next one. Jota's value. That's a tough question. I mean, in the rankings I had him... Let me get my rankings up. because that's pretty recent. So I had him at 29, right in the group with Bowen, Diaby, Grealish, March, and Eze, Gibbs, White. I think that's about right, to be honest, because he's such a good option when he plays. Like, his points per 90 is ridiculously strong. So I do think there's if he gets to start, it's great. I think he looks good for a start this week. After we've seen the news that Darwin, had muscular fatigue for Uruguay, so he came off at half time. That doesn't sound serious, but with a lot of travel, that makes me think he may not start, which leads me to think that we could see Jota. Gakpo hasn't actually started up front through the middle, I don't think, has he? So, reports are saying that Mount will return versus Bayern. Okay, that makes sense. In that case, I think it's more likely that Garnacho starts, to be honest. I know that United fans don't want to see Rashford playing on the right, and I don't either, as someone that has him in a league, because he's so much less effective there. I just don't think Pellistri's ready. And then Bruno on the right with Eriksen, Casemiro, and McTominay. Do we think that's likely? There's not much legs in that midfield three of McTominay, Eriksen, and Casemiro, is there? So we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's a lock that Garnacho starts, and I definitely don't think it's a lock that Pellistri starts. I mean, we could see it, but I'm not convinced. Lineup review. Let's get this open. Leno over Flecken. Yep, that's an easy one. Cash, Konate, Udogi in the defence. Stones has been ruled out. Mitchell first on the bench. I think that looks good to me. Enzo, Bruno Fernandes, Diaz, Gibbs, White, Doku. I think Doku's a decent start this week with Grealish ruled out as well. I think it's pretty likely we see Doku start on the left again. João Pedro and Haaland, Adebayo on the bench. Yeah, I think that's the one. I really like this team. I mean, any team with Haaland, Bruno, and Diaz, you're going to struggle to do poorly this season, would be my opinion. Spurs and Liverpool attacking lineups going forward. It's just a lottery at the moment. I don't think we have enough information. I wouldn't like to tell you what's going to happen because I really don't know. Liverpool, I think. I still think Salah, Darwin, Diaz, as it stands at the moment, is the first choice. But I don't think there's much in it between Diaz and Jota. Gakpo's not had a good start to the season, but I'm sure he'll, pick things up and come good because he is absolute class. So I think whoever you own, you just play them and hold them and hope they start and see what happens. Gakpo started against Newcastle through the middle, then the red card happened. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Lineup check. Let's have a look. Sanchez, Gabriel van der Ven, Ake, Moreno, and Botman. Botman is fit, I believe. Last I saw, Botman is fit. Yeah, he's back and he's trained and he's fine. So I'd consider putting him first on the bench at least, even if you're not going to start him. Andreas Pereira, Diaby, Son, Elanga, Paqueta bench, João Pedro, Gakpo, Haaland. Yeah, another good team there. That's how I'd line up. I'd put Botman first on the bench, but other than that, Doku starting if Grealish is out. I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't know who else would play on the left really. Grealish has had that position absolutely locked. So I hate Alvarez out there. I think he looks absolutely lost on the wing. So I don't see that happening. I think this is kind of exactly why Doku was bought, to be honest. Jesus starts? I think so. Yeah. I think we look so much better with him in the team. So yeah, I think Jesus starts. Lineup check. Leno over Flecken. Yep. Romero. Oh, I hate 5 at the back. I get it sometimes, but I hate it. Romero, Gusto, Anderson, Gomez, Tete, Gibbs, White, Richarlison, Rashford, Ferguson, Solanke. Okay. I would start Gakpo for sure. Because I think he could well start up front this game. I know you might be risking a 1-pointer, but you're kind of risking that with Ferguson. Anyway, I'd probably start Garnacho as well. I think I'd start Gakpo and Garnacho over Ferguson and Anderson. I think. Or, yeah, I think that's what I'd do if it was me. I have Pickford and Alisson rotation. Should I look to move Pickford? I wouldn't worry about it, no. I think Pickford's fine. I think he played well against Sheffield United. He was on for about a 7-pointer if he hadn't got that unlucky own goal. I think the Pickford stuff, as frustrating as he's been, is very overblown. Richarlison, question mark. That's all you need to say. Here it comes. I'll talk about it in a sec. Squad lineup check, please. Vicario over Onana looks good. Cash, Saliba, Udogi. March, Mbumo, Diaby, Maddison, Salah, Ferguson, Isaac. I'd start Haaland. I'm not sure who I'd start him over, but I'd probably start him over Ferguson. That news today, I want to get the quote because I don't want to butcher it. Let me see if I can get the quote quickly. But it didn't fill me with confidence. Let me see. United at Brighton. Here we go. Evan Ferguson returned to training on Thursday after missing the recent internationals because of an ongoing knee issue. The 18-year-old scored a hat-trick last time out. Returned to training on Thursday, so yesterday. So he's trained 2 days. They play... when do they play? Saturday, I think. Yeah, Saturday 3 p.m. So he would have trained 2 days after being out for 2 weeks. De Zerbi's history with him is that he's very, very careful. I don't think he starts, so I'd play Haaland. Is Richarlison a drop? I don't own him in any league, so it's hard for me to say if I'd drop him because I'm not like faced with it. Realistically, knowing myself, I would drop him. I just think they look so much better without him. And they've now got Brennan, who can play through the middle or on the left or on the right. Probably more likely the right than the left. Son looked good through the middle. I don't think Richarlison starts. And even if he did, he's not shown us anything. So it's hard to drop him, but I probably would. Personally, I probably would. I don't know if it's the right decision or not. Depends on who's on waivers, but I love that in the chat. I feel alive after dropping Richarlison. Yeah, I'm not surprised. He's one of those. It was kind of like Sterling last year, but it's not. It's even worse than that. Start Saliba. Yeah, I would start Saliba probably. Lineup check. Should I double up on Forest or drop one, place Antonio Amdouni? I would start. Okay, let me get this up. Keeper's fine. Giles, Trippier. I don't think Moreno's going to be fit in time. So I'd start Ward just in case you get the 1-pointer. I don't think there's much chance Moreno starts, to be honest, after the comments today. The comments today were... Aston Villa. So Emery said, these are the words he said. Everyone came back from their national teams really good. The players were working here as well good. Thanks, Unai. The players who are injured are progressively getting better. Alex Moreno is training with the group and Jacob Ramsey is close to being with us. So he still refers to, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but he's still referring to Moreno as the players who are injured. Because he says the players who are injured are getting better. Moreno is training with the group. Ramsey is close to being with us. So he's still kind of referring to him as injured. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but to me it seems like he's not going to start. I'd start Beto over Antonio, and I think Antonio could be a drop. I would consider dropping him for Amdouni. I like Amdouni. He looks like a flair player. He looks fun, to be honest. I don't know how well he's going to do, to be honest, but also there is a big chance that Kudu starts up front, or Bowen starts up front, and Antonio misses out as well. So something to watch out for. Johnson or Flecken? Good question. I think it's about 50-50. I'd probably start Johnston, I think. I don't think there's anything in it at all, really. Flecken nailed, Johnson isn't. Well, it doesn't really. It's kind of irrelevant because Johnson's not going to come off the bench, is he? So even if you start him and he doesn't play, you get Flecken. So it doesn't really matter. You with your keepers, they never get subbed. I mean, they might get subbed once a season if they get injured. So you just play which one everyone has the best fixture, because if they don't start, you get the other one anyway. Should I start Kudus, or is that risky? I mean, it is risky. I think he probably starts. Oh, sorry, I thought you meant who to keep. Fair enough. Okay. The midfield, I think, is fine. I'd hold the midfield. Thoughts on the lineup? 12-man league. Fantrax. Vicario. Aurea, Cash, Zuma. I wouldn't want to start Zuma if I can really help it. You're struggling for defenders, though, this week. I think I'd start Dallo over Zuma. I know he gets like the headed ball bonus. Aerial duels and that. Oh, yeah, I'd probably start him, actually. He's going to win a ton of those. Kamara says a Foden Schlupp. Yeah. Rashford, Richarlison, Solanke, Richarlison. I'd maybe start Beto over him. I just don't think he's going to start. That's the struggle. Thoughts on Solomon? Oh, yeah, so I'll just go over the rest of the Spurs while I was kind of on it. Son, clearly, best pick. You know, he's absolutely nailed on. Through the middle, looks fantastic. I do think he'll struggle more against teams that don't play in the way that Burnley do. But it's still a great pick. Solomon played pretty well on the left. And there's not that much competition for him if Son's playing through the middle, because I don't think Richarlison really does the job on the left that Ange wants. He wants someone that's going to stay wide and take them on. And that's what Solomon does. So I think Solomon actually looks like quite a good pick. Brennan is a bit of a threat, but I think he's far more likely to start on the right than the left. I think he's going to be competition for Kulusevski, who at the moment looks like an okay pick, but I do worry because I think Kulusevski is just... I think Brennan is a better player than Kulu. So I think eventually I wouldn't be surprised to see Solomon, Son, Brennan front three. But we'll see. Dilemma, 9-man league. Currently leading. I have 3 defenders that won't play. Well, that's no good. That is no good. Who have you got? Verge, James and Stones. Yeah, that's a disaster, isn't it? That's so unlucky. I mean, when we talk about like appetite for risk, Stones and James are both. I mean, James is the most injury-prone player in the league. Stones is like not that far behind him, so it is risky to own both of those two. But you're here now, so I think I would probably just drop James, bite the bullet, and hope he's out all season. I don't think he comes back at least for 4 or 5 game weeks. Is anyone going to pick him straight back up? I mean, you might be able to pick him back up when Stones is fit and Virgil's back. So I think I can't, unless it's like a blank game week or I'm having a disaster, I cannot go into a game knowing I've only got 10. Yeah, no need to hold James, get that man out. I agree. How are we doing? 67 viewers, 24 likes. Come on, guys. Hit that like button. Get the algorithm pumping. Do you think Núñez is a good pickup with Kovacic injured? Maybe, but if he's playing the role Kovacic was playing, he's not getting forward anyway. I don't like it. I was never really interested in Núñez. I wasn't interested in Paqueta when he was rumoured to go to City either. The midfield, like that, the middle of that box isn't where they create the chances from, really. I don't think. Sorry, the base of the box. You know, the Kovacic kind of role. Rodri's been getting away with it a little bit, but his stats are falling back to what we'd expect. Start Harry Wilson, Solomon, or a Fulham defender. Harry Wilson for me. You don't think they put Son back on the left and use Johnson as a centre forward? Maybe. Absolutely could do, yeah, maybe. I don't. I think it might depend on the opponent a little bit, but Son, they were not getting the best out of Son out there. Okay, so who are you going to pick up? Oh, goodness. I think I'd go for Robinson this week. I like him against Luton. That's who I'd go for. Am I dumb on gambling with Palmer with these mids available? I don't think you're dumb. I wouldn't do it. I'm very much a wait and see on Cole Palmer. I'd probably pick up Neto personally, but I like Neto. He's a bit of me. He is a bit of me, Pedro Neto. I've kind of got a bit of a soft spot for Wolves this year. Thoughts on Haaland, value for trades? Interested to hear your perspective of how much you'd be willing to give up for Haaland. Conversely, if you had Haaland, what would be your price to give him up? Let's assume this is a 10-man league. Okay. If I owned Haaland, for me to give him up, it would take 2 first-round picks, not including Salah, I think. It very much depends on what other forwards I've got. If I've got 2 decent forwards and I'm happy to... 2 forwards that I'm happy to play basically every week, like, say, Edouard and Watkins. If they're my other 2 forwards, I would do it Haaland for 2 first-round picks. Not including Salah, because Salah, I would do Haaland for Salah plus a good forward, like a good forward, Jesus, Watkins. I don't know if you can hear that. My dog's going mental. Anyway, if I'm looking to bring Haaland in, I'm offering... Like, one thing I'd like to try and do to get Haaland off people, and it never works. It's not worked yet, but I'm still trying. Is to send them like 5 upgrades. You know, like a couple of defensive upgrades, like a couple of mid-tier midfielders, and a forward upgrade, and see if I can get that to work. Because I just think Haaland the reason he's so good is because you can bundle in a load of players, get him, you know he's going to carry your team forward, and you can just use the waivers like there's no tomorrow to pick up players with decent fixtures every week. And I just think that's so much better. If I had Haaland, it would take a lot for me to get rid of him, because I'd rather keep the big hitters. Salah's the same. I'd rather keep the big hitters and use the waivers. So, any views on picking up Tony for, say, someone like DCL not getting much value? How many game weeks have we got until Tony's back? That's the question you need to ask. And how many game weeks are you willing to hold him for? Because if you pick up Tony now and drop him before he comes back, that is a complete waste. You got 0 out of that. So the time to pick him up is when you know you're happy to hold that spot until he gets back. I think he comes back game week 22. 30th of January is game week 22. 13th of January is game week 21. So I think it's the middle to the end of January, isn't it? When is Tony back? 17th of January, yeah. So it's game week 22 he'll be back for. So we've got, 17 game weeks? 18 game weeks. That's 17 game weeks. That's too many for me. I think there's more value elsewhere. I think once it gets to maybe 6 game weeks, 7 game weeks, and you can look at your fixtures and think, I can bench him every week and it not impact me, that's when I would pick him up. Same with KDB, same with Nkunku. Once I look at my team and I know that my midfield is I've got 4 midfielders I can start every week and 1 spot that I can waiver a good pick every week, and I've got 2 forwards that will start every game and I can play no matter the fixture, that is the point when I'd pick him up and not before. KDB I think is even harder because there's good mids. Do you think Dyche will go up 2 up top? I don't think so. Because when Burnley did that, they quite often had 1 forward that would play kind of like a number 10. And I think Beto and DCL are both too similar and not really suited to play that kind of role. Bench 1, Diaz, Solanke, Gakpo and Awoniyi. Gakpo. The Gusto-ish show. Should we keep him on the bench? I would keep him, and I'd be happy to play him this week if I didn't have another good fixture. I don't think it's that bad, Bournemouth away. Bournemouth are a decent attack, but I don't think it's that bad. So I would keep Gusto. I mean, like we just said about James, we never know when he's going to come back, and it doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon. So I think I would keep Gusto for the time being. And there's no issue really. The Chelsea defensive data has actually been really good. Really good. They've just conceded the odd few goals, which wipes out all your points, but the data is fine. Is Gakpo still really within the top 15 forwards? Yes, definitely. This is a season-long game. And he's not turned into a bad player overnight. And there'll be plenty of opportunity. Jota's injury prone. Darwin's form comes and goes like the wind. And Gakpo will certainly get a run in the team where he's a fantastic asset. It's just not at the moment. Thoughts on Doku, Kudus and Fati? All 3 look good picks. There was a quote about Fati in the press conference today as well from De Zerbi. He said... Ansu Fati is in line to make his debut tomorrow. So De Zerbi said, I don't know if at the beginning of the game or the second half, but he's ready to play. So he definitely gets minutes. So if I had him, I'd probably start him. Kudus the same. And Doku I think is the best of the 3 this week, because with Grealish injured, I think he has to play. Is now the time to pick up Reece James if he's available? If you can stomach it. If you can hang on. now's the time. If you can look at your fixtures, your defenders, and plan out your fixtures, like just skip through the next 8 game weeks, are you going to need that 5th defence spot? If not, pick him up. If you do, then no. And that's all the Patreon questions, I believe. Yeah. So, let me change this over. Right, Discord can go. You know what, actually, I've just had a Patreon notification, so I'll just do that one quickly before we move on. In fact, there are a few. Okay, let's do these quick, and then I'll take some questions from the chat. Oh, wrong button. Oh well. Okay, Luis. Thanks for the live stream. Great content. Would appreciate your thoughts on the lineup for me this week and potential trades. Leno Flecken. Let me get the fixtures up, because I can never remember off the top of my head. I've minimised it. What have I done? I've broken everything. There we go. Found it. And I'm on game week 21, which is not helpful. Okay, game week 5. Right. Leno Flecken. So I would be starting Leno for sure. Luton at home. Good fixture. Then Gabriel, Trippier, Colwell, Shaw, Reece James. I'd be starting Gabriel, Trippier, and probably Share. Just go for the double defence. Midfielders, Bruno Fernandes, Salah, Harry Wilson, Eze, Morgan Gibbs White. Great midfielder. I'm starting all of those. Solanke, Awanai, João Pedro. I think João Pedro is the bench from the attackers. Good team. Really good. Really, really strong midfield. That I love. That these are my kind of players. But yeah, looks good. I don't think I touch it at the moment. I guess a forward upgrade for a midfielder is like the dream. Maybe you package in Morgan Gibbs White and João Pedro for an upgrade, because you already have Awanai as well. Or maybe you try and do Awanai up to someone. But I like Awanai, so no rush. Marcin, hey mate, need to fill the 5th mid spot. Which one would you pick? Bruno Guimaraes, Joelinton, Neto, Danjuma, Decore, Jensen, Wilson, Dickodova, Reader, Elanga. For this week specifically, if you want a 1 week punt, I'd say Harry Wilson. If you don't like Wilson for some reason, if you're prejudiced against the Welsh nation, I would probably go for Elanga. If you don't like either of those and you want a long-term pick, I think Neto is the one for me. And probably most of my teams, I'll be picking up Harry Wilson this week and then moving on to Neto next week. They have Liverpool, obviously, this week. So, although, I've been thinking about this. Trent out. Who else is out? VVD's out. Is it a good week to start Neto? I have him in the Snake Draft League, and at the moment he's on the bench. But I just don't think I can. I don't think I can do it. Micah. My team is a struggle this week. All right, let's have a look. Sanchez, Henderson. Well, Sanchez is the start there. Gvardiol, Zinchenko, Van der Ven, Cash, and Share. I'd be starting Gvardiol, Zinchenko, and Van der Ven, I believe. Odegaard, Bernardo, Diaby, Garnacho, and Burma, Gakpo, Awanai, Solanke, who to bench. The attacker that I'd bench, I don't like benching Gakpo this week. I just think with the other stuff going on around the other forwards, I I think he's probably going to start. He might not. It might be Jota, Salah, Diaz, but I don't know. I kind of fancy Gakpo this week. Wolves is a bad defence. So I'd probably bench. It depends. If we get news that Garnacho's definitely going to start before the deadline, I'd want to start him. But if not, I'd probably bench him. For me, it's between Bernardo Silva and Garnacho. Bernardo just never gets the returns. In fact, I'd probably bench Bernardo, I think. I just don't think he's that good of an attacking fantasy asset. Like, Haaland hoovers up most of the shots. So you're hoping for assists. Between Haaland and Alvarez is like 85% of City's shots. So you're hoping for assists, which he can get, but they're not as rewarding, are they? Okay, let's go on to the chat. Let's go on to chat questions. So, I'm now fully focused on the chat. So if you have anything you want to ask, get it in. And let me go over to this screen to make sure I don't accidentally do anything stupid. Okay. I'm going to... they're flying in. I'm going to have to be quick. Drop Bernardo for Neto. I would, yes. I just kind of mentioned it then, but I don't love the pick. Who would you start between Ream and Gakpo? I would start... I always go for the attacker. I think I'll start Gakpo. I have a Stupinan, Chilwell, Doggy, Diaby, March, Odegaard, Gibbs, White, Solanke, Awanai, Gakpo starting on the bench. Oh, you can't bench Luis Diaz. I know that... I'm sure... So, nothing was mentioned about Diaz in the presser today. I'm sure he had an issue. I'm sure he did. Maybe I just made it up. Oh, all we're saying is the Liverpool is yet to see Luis Diaz following international involvement. So that doesn't really mean anything, does it? Ah, yeah, this is it. August the 23rd. Oh, that's a long time ago. Luis Diaz worked with the group after picking up minor knocks against Bournemouth. Oh, no, that's ages ago. Yeah, I'd start Diaz for sure. And already I'm behind. Do you have your own mini league and is there a prize? I don't at the moment. Bin Decore for Elanga? Yeah, I think so. I think if you're going to start him this week, I like Decore. I mean, the data is really good. So let's have a little look. Decore is one of those players that goes through these spells of being a really, really good pick. And I think it's at the moment. Let's get Hub up and we'll do a player comparison of Decore and Elanga. Per start. How many starts does Elanga have? Any starts per appearance? That probably makes more sense. Yeah, look at that. It's massive. So, Elanga 1 goal, 1 assist. Decore 1 goal, no assists. Expected points is 22 to 11. 2.1 XG. 4 big chances in 4 games for Decore. That is wild. I know they've had really easy fixtures. 6 shots in the box. 22 touches in the box. 7 chances created. Like, Decore is a serious pick. I know it's Arsenal this week. So, like, I don't want him this week, really. And I will be benching him. But he is a proper pick. It's not just like a fluke that he's got that goal. Definitely not. But I do think for this week, Elanga looks absolutely electric. As long as he's fit, which I think he is. As long as he's fit, I think he looks really good. Okay. Start 2, bench 1. I'm if I skip over your question, don't like, just feel free to send it in again, because I'm losing where I am constantly. Very professional. Start 2, bench 1. Trossard, Neto, Luis Diaz. I'd be benching Trossard, I think. Nunez and Diaz got back late. Most predictors are saying Jota, Gakpo, Salah. That makes sense to me. Yeah, that does make sense to me, Jota, Gakpo, Salah. I don't think I'd bench either Nunez or Diaz, though. Even if they play 20 minutes against Wolves, I think it's good. Salah and Jackson for Haaland and Mudryk. Helps me avoid AFCON too, thinking long term. So it's basically Salah and Jackson for Haaland. I think I probably would do that. That's a good trade. I think that's fair. So it's up to you. I don't think there's a winner or a loser there, really. I know this asked, but is Fati a viable pickup? I think so, yes. Who would you bench? Gibbs, White, Jota, Foden, Gordon and Burmo, Cunha. Thinking Cunha. I like Cunha this week against that Liverpool. Shaky Liverpool defence with loads of injuries. Or loads of players missing, at least. So I think I'd be tempted to bench. Oh, it's really tough, isn't it? You probably got to bench Cunha. Maybe Gordon. But Cunha's probably the sensible choice. Norgard, Schlupp, Bournemouth, Neto, Elanga, Solomon are available. Thinking of dropping McAllister and or Sarr. I can add a middle forward team is flexible. Thoughts? I personally think Sarr is still a really good pick. I'm very happy to hold him, especially for this game week. I don't think I'd consider dropping Sarr ahead of Sheffield United. McAllister I don't like as a pick, I'll be honest. Unless you're playing fan tracks with like proper fan track scoring, I don't like him as a pick. I just don't think he's playing far forward enough. Who wins this trade? Haaland, Fabio Silva, Sarr, Disasi, Botman. Oh, it's a big one. Haaland, Fabio Silva, Sarr, Disasi, Botman for Isaac, Wilson, Sterling, Trippier, Chilwell. You rejected. I don't know which side you had to start with, but I would take the Haaland side. I think. Yeah, I would take the Haaland side. I have gone out in a small league. Should I drop for Doku? Yeah, I would. Drop Gordon for Sharda. Nah, I don't think that's worth it. I still think Sharda is at risk for not playing whenever Brentford go to a back five, which they could well do this week against Newcastle. And then I think it'll be Wisser and Bumona too. Start Wisser or Edouard, or start both and bench Sterling. You can't bench Sterling at Bournemouth. I'd bench Wisser, I think. What do you think of Koleosho? I think he looks fun. I don't know how many returns he's going to get. But when the fixtures are right, I think he looks like a fun pick. And to be honest, he could do well this week. I did consider him for the waiver video, but I thought there's too many mid options that look good. Any words on Fati? Yes, De Zerbi said he's going to play. May not start, but he'll definitely come off. Have you heard anything about Nkunku fitness? It's still a long way off. It's still a long way off. Christmas-ish, I think. How are we doing? What time is it? 64 viewers, 39 likes. Bit of a gap there, isn't there, boys? Bit of a gap. I need to keep an eye on the time because I've got a bad feeling that I'm just going to be chatting away, talking draft, and I have got work this evening. I'm on a night shift tonight. So I must stop streaming at about 9:15. So if it gets to 9:15 and I'm just chatting away, someone please tell me. Because I do not really want to be late for work.
Willian available this week. Should I grab him? No, I don't think he starts. Start 2, bench 1. Hoyland, Jackson, Beto. I'd bench Beto. Do you still rate Sarr? Seems more attacking than the 2 wingers ineligible. Or who would you jump for? No, I rate Sarr. I mean, I like I kind of mentioned, I know he blanked last week, which is a shame because, 5 goals. But he still had chances. I think he's a really, really good pick. I think he's a really good pick. Eduard or Gakpo? You have me questioning it now. I think probably Gakpo, right? Wolves is a worse defence. Liverpool's a better attack. He's going to be starting up front, probably. Like, he's a good pick this week. As much as everyone hates him, he's a good pick this week. Trossard long term, dumb pickup. It's not dumb. I wouldn't say it's dumb. I don't. With everyone fit, I just don't think he's going to start that much. We'll see what happens when the Champions League starts and if he gets more minutes then. Start Eduard or Ferguson? Eduard for me. Lineup check. Leno, Tete, Worrell, Share, double Fulham defence. Double defence of the worst defence in the league. No, but that's a bit tongue-in-cheek because I actually think they got a very good chance at a clean sheet this week, so I think that's good. Worrell, Share, Son, Neto, Szoboszlai, Diaby, Gibbs, White. Szoboszlai was free in one of my leagues this week. How wild is that? Someone dropped him for Kudus last week. I couldn't believe it. I didn't get him, obviously. But, yeah, mad. Hoyland, Solanke, bench is Flecken, Cole, Edouard, Trent. Well, Trent's not going to play. Yeah, it's hard to who. For me, it's Neto versus Edouard. And that is hard because Neto's in decent form. And so is Edouard. Who's the worst defence? It's Villa. So I think you should play Edouard. But I get it. Should I stick with Gakpo or pick up Callum Wilson? I'd stick with Gakpo personally. I'm not a big believer in Callum. Kudus, Fati, Mon Gibbs White, McGinn starting midfield. Still have KDB on the bench. 3 locked on strikers and solid defence. Hold KDB. I mean, I guess so. It depends who's free and if you fancy starting McGinn every week. Or if you're happy to rotate McGinn, then I guess it's fine. I don't think it's awful. I just think you need to know you're happy with your starting lineup every week. Thoughts on Grealish? Should I be replacing his spot to those midfielders that look good each round? I think I would hold Grealish. I know he's in. As long as this injury is not a bad one, I think he's good to hold. I think he's fine to hold. Archer or Gordon this week? Probably Archer. Tottenham defence isn't good. Archer does look good. Who to start / bench for defenders? Estupinan, Chilwell, Colwill, Udogi, Ake. I would be benching Estupinan and Colwill, I think. Very kind words, Andrew. Thank you. I wavered off Morgan Gibbs White and took Garnacho. Was that a bad move? I have Bruno, Odegaard, Mbermo, Diaby. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, bro. I love Gibbs White. On pens, main creator of the team. They've actually been reasonably attacking. I would have rather lose Bernardo Silva personally. I'm not keen on that move. Start Sterling or Szoboszlai. Oh my god, what a pick that is. I think you have to start Sterling, but I'd like to start them both if I could. Vicario or Alisson? Vicario. Where was I? Bench Gakpo, Cunha, Solomon. Solomon, probably. Maybe. Start Saliba or Diop? Diop. Love your Patreon stuff. What's up with Gakpo this season? Good question. I think it's just a wait and see. I think you just have to sit tight with Gakpo. I think his time will come. That's it. It's annoying at the moment, and I think he could be a good pick this week. I think he probably starts up front. It's just a shame that the only time he actually started up front, they got a red card in the 30th minute, and it ruined the game for him. I'm pretty sure we'll have Liverpool news before the deadline. Yeah, we will. I mean, I won't because I'm going to be asleep. So I'm tempted. So I'm working 10 till 6:30. So 10 p.m. tonight until 6:30 in the morning. I will get a bit of kip at work. And then I'll be asleep. I'll probably go to bed when I get in. The deadline, what time's the deadline? 11. So generally I sleep until about 11:30 after nights. I'm kind of tempted to set my alarm for like 10:30 and just brave it for like half an hour just to keep on top of any lineup leaks or whatever, because I think we might get a fair amount because there's loads of teams playing Saturday. City play at 3:00. I mean, Liverpool the early kickoff, but also City play at 3:00, so we'll probably get a little bit of insight into that. Arsenal plays Sunday. Brighton United is also 3:00, so we may know if Garnacho's going to start. Yeah, I might have to wake up early for that one. I know you told me to bin Reguilon, but it's hard for me. Please talk me out of it. I cannot talk you out of... I can talk you into losing him. I cannot persuade you to keep him because for me, he was never on my radar. He's a terrible defender. Good going forward, but he's a shocking defender. I think if he's starting... I think United defence is rubbish anyway. I've got no interest. He's not even on my rank. He's not even in my top 150 players, I don't think. So for me, I think you got to get rid. But if you love him, if you love him, then keep him. If it's a heart pick over a head pick, keep him. But for me, every time you send me a team, Jesper, I'm going to tell you to bin him, and that's just where we are. Who's better moving forward? Kudus, Gordon, Sharda, or Almiron? Kudus. Probably Gordon, then Kudus, then Almiron, then Sharda, I think. Sara Neto long term. Wow, that's tough. I mean, Neto. Let's do it. Should we look at a comparison? Because I'm not. I haven't looked this up yet. Sar versus Pedro Neto, but my instinct tells me Neto is going to be significantly better because I know he's really high up on the X points ranking. Sar versus Neto. Wow. So the X points is really close. What are we at per appearance? This is. So, the heat map is actually pretty close. I love these ones here. These points here in the box, on the edge of the box. Brilliant. X points 17 to 19.5. That's not far off. 1.5 XG to 0.7. 2 big chances for Sar. None for Neto. 9 shots in the box to 8. 5 shots on target to 4. 10 shots to 9. Neto has way more touches in the box, but a lot of them are really wide. Chances created 13. See, Neto nearly double. So it's a tough choice. Really tough. I think Neto is probably likely to be Wolves' best player this season if he stays fit. So on that basis, I'd probably go for Neto. If we have a look at the Opta stat, like the actual stat table, and we just do total expected assists, yeah, look, he's second behind Salah. I thought he'd be high. Salah, then Neto, and then Bruno Fernandes. All this data is courtesy of Fantasy Football Hub. If you're interested, there's a link in the description. You get a discount. I get a little bit in the back pocket. It works for everyone. Let's see if I can do this trade on stream. Is it the Pyramid League that I have Chilwell? Yeah. I need to sort this out. I'll do this on my night shift. Transactions. Let me just find a player you own. I can't do trades because of the deadline. That does my head in. Why can't I set up a trade now that just goes through when the next game week deadline happens? It is very annoying. It is very, very annoying. Let me just look at his team. And he wants me to take Havertz off him, I think. Who am I going to get for... See, this is the post-Harry Kane team. I'm actually quite happy with the forwards now. I managed to snag Archer, Edouard and Jackson I'm happy with. The midfield I like as well. It's gonna have to be a midfield upgrade to get Chilwell off me. And I don't know if you've got it. I'm not seeing a trade here. Although I'm absolutely willing to give you Chilwell. I'm just not seeing a viable trade really. Because maybe if we could do something for Rashford, but I don't know if you'll be interested in that. Something like Chilwell and Szoboszlai for Rashford. And Doku for Rashford. Or even Chilwell and Diaz for Rashford. I'd do that probably, if you're interested in that. Chilwell, Diaz for Rashford. It's a bit tough. I'll think about it. Okay. I'd love to send you some offers, but the stupid website isn't interested. I'm back. I'm actually doing a project to see the effects of more stoppage time and clean sheets, goals in general. I'm building a database right now. Anything else I think I should add, like cards, etc. Clean sheets, goals. Oh, I don't know if you could do this. Goals from subs. Goals from substitutes. Because I've got a sneaky feeling if this, 10 minutes added time every game happens, I've got a sneaky feeling we're going to see the goals from substitutes skyrocket. Because if they're averaging 30 minutes instead of 20, that's like a 33% rise, right, in minutes. So I don't know if you can figure that out, Andrew. But goals from substitutes would be an interesting one to see. Is Romero for... You can have subs. That's good. That's cool. That would be interesting. Is Romero for Trippier a good trade? I like Trippier. Trippier is so far clear of Romero. Doku or Gibbs White? Gibbs White for me. Just we know what we're getting. He's got pens, consistent minutes, goal threat. What are the quite possibly 3 players to target from Burnley and Luton who have a double game week 7? I took defender Giles from Luton this game week 12 in league. He has 11. Yeah, Giles is a great pick. Luton and Burnley. You know what? Let me see if I can filter this by... Oh, I can. Let me get this back up. Let's have a look at the teams. Okay, so... I don't know how clear this is on stream. Let me zoom in a bit. Is this even zooming in? No, that's horrible. That's better. Okay, so let's go sort by XGI and filter by... Let's start with Luton. I don't know how clear this is going to be on stream, but at least I can talk through it. So, the Luton expected goal involvement, Morris is so far clear of every other Luton player, it's not even funny. Barkley, with only 2 appearances, is cropping up. And Ross Barkley is someone that I know I'm going to have him in game week 7. I've got a terrible, terrible feeling he's going to be in one of my teams game week 7. So 2 games, he's got 4 shots, 2 in the box. That's not great. 4 key passes, 1 big chance created, 0.54x. Are we back? That was weird. Okay, well, not sure what happened there. Everything was telling me that the stream was perfect. Excellent condition is what YouTube says. OBS was working fine. But something was not working fine. But oh well, we're back. How bizarre. Barkley the best Luton midfielder game week 7 then. So for Luton, I think he is, as it stands. Now let's go over to... But I think it's a shame because Luton have the good fixtures. Burnley have the fun picks. So when we sort Burnley by XGI, we've got Foster clear 1.3. Then Amdouni and Koleosho are the other 2 that look like they could be in tension for some points. Morris looks like the best pick. Then Foster. Then Amdouni. Then Koleosho, then Barkley. It looks like from what we've seen. There's not really any of the mids I'd go for unless we see one of the new boys do well. Look, they've signed a couple of new players, haven't they? But as it stands at the moment, these are the 3: Foster, Amdouni, Koleosho that I'm interested in and keeping my eye on. Defence for Burnley, I don't think is the way to go because if I remember rightly, their fixtures. Who have they got in that double game week? It's Newcastle away, Luton away. I guess they could keep a clean away to Luton, but not convinced. It's not good. Their defence is horrible. So, yeah, I don't think the defence is the way to go, really. Okay. What was I doing? Yeah, so for game week 7, double game week 7, I think Morris looks like the best pick. Then Foster, then Amdouni, Koleosho, Barkley in terms of attackers. Defenders, I'm not interested in Burnley. And for Luton, I think it's only really Giles. Maybe Kabore if he gets his spot back. Burke. He's only started 2 out of 3 games. I'm not sure if he's even nailed, to be honest. Neither Anderson. The back 3. I mean, Lockyer, if he's fit, is probably the most nailed one. But he's like not very attacking at all. So yeah, outside of Kabore, if he gets his place back, and Giles, that's about it, really. I think. Oops, wrong button. Should I get Amdouni for Cunha? I don't know. I like Cunha. I'm not interested in selling him, really. I'd probably do Morris for Cunha. I would maybe do Foster for Cunha. But I don't think I'd do anyone else. Cheers for doing this, Joe. I'm curious, what's your job? I am an air traffic controller, actually. Who to bench? Gakpo, Luis Diaz, Diaby, Odegaard, Gibbs White, March, Solanke, Awaniyi. I would probably... Oh, that's tough. God, that's tough. Gakpo, Luis Diaz, Diaby, Odegaard, Morgan, Gibbs White, I guess March? Maybe? Or if we know Luis Diaz is benched, I'd bench him. If we get information on Saturday morning, that's who I'd bench. Someone wavered out Havertz for Neto this week. Havertz in for McGinn next week. Yes, I would. Definitely. Havertz's data is still good. I mean, I know he keeps, fluffing his lines, but I don't think that'll happen forever. Would you start Flecken versus Newcastle or Areola versus City? It's got to be Flecken, I think. I think it's got to be Flecken. Bring in Barkley or Koyosha for Solomon if I'm not going to start Solomon this week anyway. It's a good shout. It is a bit of a punt because Barkley could turn out to just not be very good. And Koyosha, there is a chance he could lose his spot in the team. So there is a bit of a gamble there. So it depends how risky you want to be and how much you want to attack the double game week. If I was going to move for one of them this week, I'd probably punt on Barkley just because I know he's going to play as long as he's fit and the games are better. Palmer starting? I have no idea. I've not got a feel for that Cole Palmer transfer yet. I really can't get my head around it. So I know that's not very helpful. I'd probably punt on the fact that I'd probably punt on him starting it. If I owned him, I'd start him. That's what I'm trying to say. Would you do Kulusevski for Szoboszlai? I would take Szoboszlai in that situation. I think he's really good. I don't understand why he's rated so lowly in the community. Oh, are Romero or Botman better holding picking up Gabriel? No, I think Gabriel starts from now on, so I'd take him. Drop Antonio or Darwin. If I was going to drop one of them, I would drop Antonio. What is the value of Douglas Luiz now that he maybe takes pens? I would put him in a similar realm to McAllister last year. Like a fifth mid, but probably not a terrible player to keep. The thing is, Douglas Luiz does have some threat outside of pens. He actually did quite well last year, even without them. So if he keeps pens all year, I think he'll probably be a decent asset. Would you transfer out Gvardiol or John Stones? No, I'd keep them both. Who would you start this week? João Pedro, Barnes, or Hickey? Would you hold on to Barnes a bit longer? I would hold Barnes a bit longer because I think he's probably their best winger eventually. João Pedro is probably the one I'd start, I think. What are your thoughts on Ansu Fati? Worth picking up? I definitely think he's worth picking up, and I would drop Bruno Guimaraes for him. We've heard from De Zerbi today that he's going to play. Whether he starts or not, we're not sure, but he's going to feature. What would be an average points return for a decent team in an 11-man league? So, in a 10-man league, which I know is not the same, but it's close, I always think that you need, if you mid-40s is a decent week. I think about 40 is about, like, if you get below 40, you're lucky to win, is what I always think. 40s is a bit of a gamble, and if you get in the 50s and lose, you're very unlucky. Havertz over KDB, yes. Douglas Luiz, Trossard or Vieira? Ooh, probably Dougie. I just don't think Trossard and Vieira are gonna start. I know that they've done well off the bench, but that is kind of their role in the squad. I think they'd have to play exceptionally well to become regular starters, whereas Douglas Luiz plays every minute. Start Amdouni or Darwin? I'd start Darwin, I think, even though he may not play, may not start. Or, yeah, I would. Fancy Edouard or Gakpo this weekend? I like Gakpo this week. I know it's controversial because he's probably the most hated man in the Premier League at the moment from draft players. But I think he starts up front. I think he's a decent pick. You know, I know that he's been very, very frustrating. But drop, is Konate a good pick when he gets healthy? Yes and no. The Liverpool defence is bad, which doesn't help. It's not horrendous. It's a mid-table defence, effectively. So he's not a bad pick, but I don't think he's like a set and forget top defender. Doesn't have much attacking threat, really. Drop Romero or Botman for Gabriel long term. Romero, I know he's a high scoring defender, but he's not going to score every week, and the Spurs defence is terrible. They're very lucky to have 2 clean sheets. Is Dean going to lose his spot? Eventually, yes, I think. When that is, we're not sure. I mean, Moreno's back in full training, so he may well be in soon, but we just don't really know yet. I think we'll see a big week from Raul Jimenez. 2 weeks of great fixtures. The only thing with Jimenez is the travel back from Mexico, because they played quite late. So we could see Vinicius, because I think he only came back yesterday, which is not much prep time for a game on Saturday. But the fixtures are good. Bench Darwin or Solanke? Ooh. If we get news that Darwin's definitely not starting, which we probably will before the deadline, I'd bench Darwin. If not, I think it's probably Darwin. I don't like benching Solanke. I think Bournemouth are a good attack. They can score basically any time. Why do you do head-to-head scoring, not overall points? I think head-to-head is just more fun, to be honest. I know that I just feel like with draft, the fairest possible way you can do it is overall. But head-to-head is so good for draft because you're already like attached to the players in your team, and head-to-head just amplifies that even more because you're like they actually get you physical wins, which makes it more competitive and more fun. And I think it complements the draft game significantly. It is less fair. You can have the best team and not win the league, for sure. But that's life, isn't it really? Are you starting Ferguson? Sorry, I just joined. Probably not. I haven't actually finalised my lineups yet. I'll do that this evening after I finish streaming. But as long as I've got a half decent, I just don't think he's going to start. I think De Zerbi's really careful with him, and when he's had an injury over the break, I just don't see him risking it. Start Moreno or Pinnock? Probably Pinnock, I think. Opinion on Kurt Zuma? I mean, West Ham defence is great. He's got serious threat. not just to cats, to set pieces as well. So, good pick. I mean, the fixtures are terrible, though. The fixtures are absolutely shocking. West Ham's fixtures are awful. This is what they've got. City at home, Liverpool away in the next 2. Then Sheffield United at home, that's great. Then it's Newcastle at home, Everton away. Villa away. So City, Liverpool, Newcastle and Villa in the next 5. It's not great. Who do you like? Watkins, Morris, Solanke for Antonio? Watkins. How possible you see Palace scoring against Villa? I think they've got a good chance. Villa defence is not amazing. The game week odds this week from the cheat sheet that I send out to Patreon members, I'll get that up on screen, has Villa at a 29% chance of a clean sheet. And to be honest, I use this to set my lineup for defenders. Any defenders that don't have much threat, I use this pretty much every week. So Spurs top, then Fulham, City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Chelsea, Villa, Forest. Everyone else is not good. But yeah, I use this basically every week to set my lineup. Little plug. I do think it's useful. Obviously, because I make it. Gakpo or Havertz? Probably Gakpo. Havertz versus Doku. I'm a big believer in Kai Havertz. You won't hear any Havertz slander from me. I should have learnt my lesson with Mesut Ozil, but I loved him till the bitter end as well. Let's have a look at Kai Havertz. How does his data look? Let's get him up. Who should we compare him to? Who would you say Havertz? Let's compare to Szoboszlai. He's doing okay. They're playing a similar position, similar kind of team. How does the data look? It's close. Heat map looks similar. If anything, Havertz looks better. X points, not great. Havertz is losing on that one. One big chance, 5 shots in the... 5 shots in the box is pretty good. 6 shots total, so he's only really shooting in the box. That's what we like to see. 18 touches in the box is pretty good. Basically no assist threat, which is the big difference between the two of them. Yeah, I mean, the stats aren't amazing. They're not amazing for Kai. But they're not bad enough that I'm thinking I would drop him, to be honest. Like, if we compare him to someone with actually really good stats in a similar position, James Maddison, this is going to be... Yeah, I mean, look at that. Oh my goodness. That's embarrassing, isn't it? It's like 5 times as much XG, 5 times as much XA. Touches in the box are similar. Madison's just getting shots off. 10 chance to go to 6. Yeah, I need to get this off the screen. It's making me depressed. Just get the ticker back up. Oh, that was depressing. Heads up, 9 o'clock. Good man. 5 more minutes and I'll be off. Get my stuff sorted. That's the thing I like about these live streams, and also the thing that, you know, causes me problems, is that I feel like I could just sit here and talk. I mean, obviously I love the sound of my own voice, but I could just sit and talk about draft kind of all night, especially when there's people in the chat asking questions and making comments, and it makes it good fun. Kudus versus Gravenberch. I think probably Kudus. I haven't got a vibe on Gravenberch. Like, do we think he's going to be first choice? I'm not sure. Good player, but yeah, I haven't really got a vibe on him yet. Danjuma versus Solomon versus Paqueta. Danjuma for me, I think he's actually a pretty good pick. Not the others aren't, but I think he's the best of the three. Would you just drop Varane altogether? I have. Varane's gone for me. He's injured for a while, or at least a few weeks. The United defence isn't very good anyway. I can't be bothered with it. There's enough defensive injuries elsewhere. I think I had John Stones in the same team, and I thought I can only keep one of these. So he's gone. I just got offered Szoboszlai for Morgan Gibbs-White. Should I do it? I would get Szoboszlai. Should we compare them? Should we have a look at the data? Let's get the data up. Because I think that is probably pretty close. Gibbs-White versus... My instinct tells me Gibbs-White. And the data kind of supports it. Because if you've got to think, Forest have had horrendous fixtures. Like absolutely terrible fixtures. And the data is still close. And Gibbs-White has pens. And they've not had a single pen yet. XA is identical. So the assist threat is basically exactly the same. Szoboszlai's had a bit more goal threat so far, but Forest fixtures have been really tough and he doesn't have pens. So I'd probably do it. I think I'd take Gibbs-White. I love him though. I am a bit biased because I think he's great. But the date is close enough for me to think that with good fixtures, Gibbs-White would be the better pick. And they have good fixtures coming up. If I go back to the ticker... If we zoom this out a little bit. Forest, Burnley at home, City away, Brentford at home, Palace away. So next three after Burnley aren't great, but then Luton at home, Liverpool away, Villa at home, West Ham away, Brighton at home, Everton at home, Fulham away. So fixtures are better. They're still like mixed. It's not like they have an amazing run, but they definitely get a lot better. So I think Gibbs-White looks good for that. I'd do it. I traded Trent and Enzo for KDB and Ake, trying to long-term it. Interesting. Johnson or Kudus, I would take Kudus because I think he's more likely to be like the man. I'm struggling. I'm last in my 10-man league with this. What have I done wrong? Pope, Sarr, Chilwell, Van der Ven, Ake, Konsa, Konate, Maddison, Odegaard, Almiron, Deacon Reed, Kudus, Pedro, Antonio, Beto. I mean, it's a good team. The forwards are a bit shaky. I like the midfield. Maddison, Odegaard is a great combo. I don't love the Almiron pick, really. I think his time has come and gone. I don't own him at all, and I'm not really interested in him owning him, really. I just think, like, it's, yeah. So was like that it would probably look better without Liverpool's red cards. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. That is very true. I think it's close. Definitely close. How did I rank them in my rankings? Let me get that up. Szoboszlai I had at 18 and Gibbs-White at 33. So I did rank Szoboszlai quite a bit higher. I think it's a close one. I do think it is a close one. And like I said, I am biased because I love Morgan Gibbs-White. Start Henry or Burn? I'd take Burn. Just back the home team, I think. Gabriel versus Robertson. Gabriel, I think. Right. I'm going to knock it on the head there. I've got to go to work, unfortunately. Thank you all for joining me. This has been very enjoyable. Like I said, I'm going to try and do a stream every couple of weeks. It gets hard when I'm working around the deadlines because I like to do the streams quite close to the deadlines, either the day before or at the deadline. There's mainly Saturday deadlines coming up for the next few weeks, which means the Friday night stream is probably more likely the night before. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. I can't really do these without people turning up and asking questions in the chat, so it's always very much appreciated. I really do appreciate people watching these live streams and interacting in the chat. So yeah, thank you all for joining me, and I'll be back with a waiver video probably Wednesday. Saturday deadline, so there's a few more days before the waiver video. So I would expect the waiver video Wednesday. So yeah, thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time.